It's Lola Reed for COMS 172. This is Victoria Stewart's class. I'm doing a paper on television and children. I have with me today Mr. Frank Jones, a licensed marriage and family therapist, who will help answer some questions I have about children that are preschoolers and their view of television according to your therapy. First question I have is, what are your credentials?
Okay, well, my credentials, I hold a master's degree in psychology with a primary focus on marriage and families. I also have a license in the state of Georgia to practice as a licensed marriage and family therapist. I have worked with children and families for more than 12 years, a variety of different settings, as well as with a variety of different issues.
Okay, all right. So are you ready for the first question?
I sure am.
First question has to do with children behavioral patterns as far as preschoolers goes. How are they towards informative programs versus going to preschool? Some kids are at home up until they're 4 years old when preschool starts, and a lot of that time they could be viewing TV.
Right.
These like PBS and other educational channels to view. But have you noticed a drastic change between the two of them, as far as their behavioral pattern and accept the information?
Well, I haven't done any hardcore research in the situation. It's just based on my own observations and thoughts. I do think the time we live in now, parents have a tendency to let the television and now computers or iPads kind of help with babysitting. And so, I'm not saying that that's bad, but too much of anything can be a problem. So therefore, if a child is spending a lot of time watching television, playing games on an iPad, you run the risk of them missing that social skill piece that helps them to develop socially and learn how to interact with other human beings of various different ages. And that's a very important part of development.
Oh, okay, that's good. I'm glad you talked about connecting, because I have an example of a 4-year-old.
Okay.
They have a website now that you can use to educate children. However, she loves to play games. She's very smart. She gets tired. Whatever you teach her, she learns it in seconds. However, she can't connect the part which is game and which is actual learning.
Oh.
So as a therapist in this area, have you come across any of that time where, this is a form of TV watching through the website or the internet, you still have kids are not connected? Have you had that experience as a therapist?
I haven't had too many kids with a similar type issue. However, if they're overly engaged or overly involved in a certain activity like that, especially at a young age, sometimes it is difficult for them to tell what is a game for fun versus what is potentially a learning tool. They kind of merge them all together, so that can be a problem, but you really can't tell if the child gets a little bit older if the conditions, you almost have to wait and see, just continue to monitor if they're spending too much time, if they're escaping, if they can't tell real from reality, and then you can start implementing some interventions or procedures if you see things getting a little too carried away.
Okay. My final question is, what can you tell us about children who view education videos to actual programming? Because in this case, as I mentioned before, the 4-year-old cannot relate that this is actual learning, whereas her teachers are concerned that she's not connecting, but she's very, very smart at home. She picks up basic skills.
Now, in this case, the teachers feel that she's not connecting in what way?
She's not learning her ABCs.
Okay.
But she can do the video games, but she can't express it.
Okay. Well, in that case, it's really important that, first of all, the teacher and the parents work together when they see an issue and try to address it. I would encourage the parents or whoever the guardians are to spend more time with the child, teaching them. Because then that way, not only they're interacting, they're bonding, and they can even make it a game. They can make it a game of it. Because before we had, so much television geared toward children. Now we have whole networks geared toward children now. And before we had laptops and iPads, and parents or other people came up with games or fun ways to teach children while being in the room. For example, I remember there were blocks that had letters on them. You know, the alphabet. I have not seen those blocks in ages, because I guess people are utilizing other ways to teach their kid the alphabet. But that's a good way, because it can be stimulating, they can build, they can interact with a parent or guardian, and in that way you are teaching them